The Biafra Chief of Staff Dr. Ngozi Orabueze has disclosed that Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of Biafra, will soon join his comrades and address Biafrans on the latest development. According to her, the restrictions on Simon Ekpa's communication have been lifted, allowing him to interact with Biafrans. This news update has generated excitement among supporters, but pain among haters and saboteurs. Simon Ekpa is expected to rejoin Biafrans soon, boosting morale within the movement. Dr. Ngozi Orabueze has been praised for her bold and confident communication, which inspires followers of the movement. Meanwhile, some critics have criticized the Nigerian government, labeling it a terrorist state, and claiming it is failing both domestically and internationally. There is a strong commitment to the full restoration of Biafra's independence, described as a do-or-die affair. Finland and other international actors have shown their support to Biafra's cause, recognizing the movement as legitimate and just. Allegations are made against individuals, including former cabinet members, who are accused of collaborating with the Nigerian government to disrupt the Biafra restoration effort. Some critics assert that financial efforts by the Nigerian government to undermine Biafra's independence have failed, as the movement is well prepared and resilient. The right to self-defense is emphasized, with a call to resist the alleged oppression and violence perpetrated by the Nigerian government. The movement remains confident in achieving its goals, despite challenges, citing strategic planning and widespread support among Biafrans and allies. It was a day that Biafrans around the world had been eagerly waiting for, a day that would bring hope, joy, and anticipation in equal measure. News spread like wildfire across communities, reaching every corner of the diaspora, as well as those back home in the land of Biafra. The long-awaited announcement came, and it was one that sent hearts racing. Simon Ekpa, the leader of the Biafran movement and its prime minister, would soon rejoin his comrades. Now Simon Ekpa was no ordinary leader. To his followers, he represented much more than just a title or position. He was a symbol of hope, a beacon of strength, and most importantly, a voice for those who had been silenced for too long. His journey with the Biafran people had not been easy, and the obstacles he faced were numerous. But through it all, Simon Ekpa remained steadfast, unyielding in his belief that Biafra would one day be restored to its rightful place on the map. However, for a period, Simon Ekpa's communication had been heavily restricted. The world knew of his struggles, of the challenges he faced as his ability to speak to the people was curbed. The restriction on his communication meant that the people could no longer hear his words of encouragement or his passionate calls to action. They were left in the dark, uncertain of his whereabouts and yearning for his return. But that was about to change. Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, the Chief of Staff of Biafra, had always been a strong and reliable leader. She had proven time and time again that she could navigate the complex and sometimes dangerous waters of the movement with grace and confidence. Her voice carried weight, and when she spoke, people listened. So, when Dr. Ngozi Orabueze made an announcement, the world sat up and took notice. In a moment that was both exhilarating and emotional, Dr. Ngozi Orabueze shared the news that Simon Ekpa's communication restrictions had been lifted. This meant that Simon Ekpa would once again be able to speak to the people, to share his thoughts, his plans, and his vision for the future of Biafra. It was a moment of great joy for the Biafran people, and it stirred up a sense of excitement that hadn't been felt in a long time. The news of Simon Ekpa's return spread quickly, with supporters rejoicing and expressing their happiness. You could hear the cheers in the streets, the calls of excitement ringing out from Biafran communities across the globe. It was as if the entire movement had just been given a breath of fresh air, a renewed sense of purpose. People began to believe once again that Biafra's independence was within reach, that the restoration of their homeland was no longer just a dream, but a tangible reality. However, with every victory, there is always opposition, and Simon Ekpa's return was no exception. As much as the news brought joy to his supporters, it also brought anger and frustration to those who opposed the movement. Critics, those who had long been against the restoration of Biafra, began to speak out. They labeled Simon Ekpa and his supporters as dreamers, as people chasing a fantasy that would never come true. To them, the idea of Biafra as an independent state was nothing but a pipe dream, something that could never be realized. But the supporters of Simon Ekpa weren't fazed. They had seen the challenges before, they had faced the doubters, and they had continued to push forward, unwavering in their commitment to the cause. They knew that this was their moment, that the lifting of Simon Ekpa's communication ban was a sign that they were on the right path. They had a leader who believed in them, who had always believed in their ability to overcome the odds. And now, more than ever, they were determined to keep fighting, to keep pressing forward toward their ultimate goal, the full restoration of Biafra. Dr. Orabueze had always been a pillar of strength for the Biafran people. Her courage and confidence were evident in every word she spoke. It was impossible not to be moved by the power of her message, by the way she carried herself with such dignity and authority. When she spoke about Simon Ekpa's return, there was no doubt in anyone's mind that she believed in it wholeheartedly. She didn't just speak as a leader, she spoke as someone who had lived through the struggle, someone who had seen the highs and lows of the movement and was still standing strong. Her words were a call to action, a rallying cry for all Biafrans to stand together and fight for their freedom. And it wasn't just about words. Dr. Orabueze had always shown through her actions that she was committed to the cause, and that commitment had earned her the respect and admiration of her followers. People looked to her not just as a political figure, but as someone who understood their struggles, their dreams, and their fight for justice. As the news of Simon Ekpa's return began to spread, there was another wave of excitement that followed. Biafrans, both at home and abroad, started to talk about what this meant for the future. Simon Ekpa was more than just a political figure. He was a symbol of resistance, a figurehead who had inspired countless people to join the cause. His return was seen as a turning point, a moment that would mark the beginning of a new chapter in the fight for Biafran independence. But with this renewed sense of hope also came the harsh realities of the struggle. The Nigerian government, which had long sought to suppress the Biafran movement, was not going to sit idly by and watch as Simon Ekpa and his supporters gained momentum. They would fight back, using whatever means necessary to undermine the movement and prevent the restoration of Biafra. Critics of the Nigerian government had long called it a terrorist state, and many were quick to point out the ways in which the government had acted against its own people. Corruption, violence, and oppression were just a few of the accusations levied against the Nigerian government by those who believed in the Biafran cause. And as Biafrans around the world celebrated the lifting of Simon Ekpa's communication ban, they knew that they were not just fighting for independence. They were fighting against a system that had failed them, a system that had continually sought to silence their voices and deny them their rights. In the midst of this struggle, there were voices of support from unexpected places. International actors, including the government of Finland, had begun to recognize the legitimacy of the Biafran cause. This was no small thing. For years, Biafrans had fought alone, but now they had allies, and those allies were speaking out in support of their struggle. Finland's recognition of the Biafran movement was a significant step forward, one that showed the world that the fight for independence was not just a local issue, it was a global one. But even with this support, the Biafran movement knew that the road ahead would not be easy. There were still many obstacles to overcome, and the Nigerian government would not simply let go of the power it held. There were those within the government, including former cabinet members, who had worked tirelessly to undermine the efforts of the Biafran movement. They had used money, influence, and even deception to try and sabotage the restoration of Biafra. But Dr. Orabueze was confident. She believed that the Biafran people were stronger than ever, that their determination would carry them through whatever challenges lay ahead. She spoke about the need for self-defense, for standing up against the oppression and violence that had been perpetrated by the Nigerian government for so long. And she made it clear that the restoration of Biafra was not just a political goal, it was a moral imperative. The movement was well prepared, Dr. Orabueze insisted. They had a plan, they had the support of the people, and they had the strength to continue the fight. Nothing could stop them now. As she spoke, the room seemed to fill with an energy that was almost palpable. It was as if her words had given everyone in the room a renewed sense of purpose, a new fire that would keep them going even when the odds seemed insurmountable. And as Simon Ekpa prepared to rejoin his comrades, to once again take his place at the forefront of the movement, the people of Biafra could feel the change in the air. The struggle was far from over, but the lifting of his communication ban had given them a renewed sense of hope. With Simon Ekpa back in the fold, they knew they had a leader who would fight for them, who would stand by them, and who would never give up on their dream of a free and independent Biafra. The journey ahead would not be easy, but with each passing day, the Biafran movement grew stronger, more united and more determined. They had a leader who believed in them, and they had the world watching. The battle for Biafran independence was not just a fight for land, it was a fight for justice, for freedom, and for the right to live without fear of oppression. And so, the story of Simon Ekpa's return is just beginning.
Orabueze has less restrictions in whatever investigation they are doing. It is a very good thing. There's going to be a couple of updates on that, but all we know is that Orabueze is destroying the zoo terrorists by the minute, and that has confirmed that based on the actions they have taken with Orabueze. So Biafrans, be strong. Very, very soon we'll be with our Prime Minister, because there's nothing Finland has against our Prime Minister. Nothing. All the lies perpetrated by the Nigerian government using their agents, some of them are Biafrans, some of them may be listening to us right here. Let me tell those individuals that Orabueze is the good guy. You cannot defeat 70 million Biafrans. No way. That have to get their independence. You can never win that battle. Not while some of us are alive. You will never. And that's why we keep telling the Nigerian zoo terrorist state, who I know they're watching me, that there are over 1 million Nnamdi Kanu standing today. Over 1 million. That is why you can never win this battle. The earlier you go the path of peace, the better for everyone. For everyone. So we are very, very happy when we got that information yesterday. So Biafrans, our spirit is high. We are very, very happy, and we will keep pushing. The restoration of Biafra is a do or die affair. Nobody can tamper with that. The full restoration of the United States of Biafra must happen for people to live. It must happen for us to live. It must happen for these reintegrated terrorists that President Tinubu brought into our land, for us to destroy them. The full restoration of Biafra must happen, not if, must. It must happen for the world to be a better place. And I know the international community, they are backing us 100%, including Finland. That is why they've taken the action they took yesterday. We are on the right path. Nigeria will continue to fail anywhere they go, even though they've bribed their way into all organizations. Those organizations they bribe their way into, they are now distancing themselves from Nigeria because they know it is a terrorist state. No sane leader in the world will want to do any business, anything with a terrorist state. That is what Nigeria is. Nigeria is a graveyard for innocent citizens. That is why Biafra must be fully restored as an independent nation away from anything spelled Nigeria. We have a couple of updates from Finland, and one of the updates is Nigerian government is failing by the minute. They are losing by the second, and as they are losing, United States of Biafra, we are getting more momentum. We are getting more momentum. Obato is getting more momentum. Obato is destroying the Zoo terrorist state of Nigeria by the second. Finland is confirming that. Yes. Finland is getting the. Shall we say they're doing investigation? Investigation has been going on, and Finland is discovering by the minute that Obato is the good guy. They are discovering by the second that the United States of Biafra are the good people. Yes. Discovering by the second that Nigerian government led by President Tinubu, Christopher Musa, is the real terrorist. Yes. Killing innocent people. Yes. Many innocent men and women taking over our land. Yes. Finland has discovered that. Yes. As we are talking right now. Yes. Criminals that did this thing to Nnamdi Kanu, they are the same criminals that they moved into the Biafra Republic government in exile. They are there. Exactly. They are doing the same template that Fulani tells them to do. That same template that Fulani uses to disrupt the restoration of the independent state of Biafra. It is the same template they came with this time, but you know what? They failed. It's a different breed of Biafrans that is in Pakistan. It's a different breed of Biafrans that have studied the history for the past 100 years. The different breed of Biafrans that knows how the Fulani penetrates Igbos, penetrate Biafrans. A different breed of Biafrans that understood how the Fulani terrorist cabals and Nigerian government works. So when you see the criminal ex-Brigadier cabinet members, the criminal lobbyists that are parading with them in the name of trying to restore Biafra, Biafrans already stopped them on their track. That is why they don't go. They can't move anywhere, not with some of us. Not with some of us. So I promise you today, the money you are giving to is a waste because they can't go anywhere. They can't go back. One step, we are taking 5 steps ahead of them. That is the failure that Obato had today. Because he was surrounded by the right individuals. He was surrounded by the people that have sixth sense. Obato was surrounded by Biafrans that have studied the history of Nigeria and how they operate. And that is why whatever they do today to disrupt what we are doing, they will be relegated to the trash can. Those are knowingly or unknowingly, they will pay the price for what they are doing. Yes. The promise they are giving out of them. Biafra is already an independent nation. Whether Tinubu likes it, whether the politicians like it, whether the criminal ex-Brigadier cabinet members like it, whether those that follow them, and he just try to see how he can manage them. Maybe they will change. Maybe after they've caught him, and they went to apologize to Odogu, and Odogu forgave them, thinking the criminals will change, not knowing that once a Sabo, always So that is why they can use all kinds of lies to deceive, because they already paid. Remember, they already paid. Our leader Nnamdi Kanu told us Nigerian government has already brought out billions of dollars to stop the restoration of Biafra. So those of you that are looking for Tinubu or looking for Christopher Musa or looking for any of them, you're making a mistake. Do not look there. Look look right inside what you have. Look inside Briggy. Look inside this United States of Biafra. Look inside what we are doing, and we find them. You are not going to go far. Look inside those that claim they are lobbyists. They are the criminals that were planted by Nigerian government to disrupt what we are doing. But you know what? They are going to continue to get with the pro marks, because we already know that game. And as they are bringing out millions, we are also bringing out millions times 3 of whatever they are doing. Biafra is here. Nobody is going to stop that. And the terrorists, the reintegrated terrorists, the fully reintegrated terrorists, the terrorists that Nigerian government and the Southeast governors and the Southside governors, they breed inside Biafra land, they must leave our land. Forcefully or peacefully, they cannot continue to kill us and get away with it. Self-determination, self-defense is a right. They've killed us enough. They've murdered us enough. They've burnt our businesses enough. Using the same ex-Briggy cabinet members that are parading themselves on Twitter. Using the same Biafran that claim that they were following in the country. Using those that they pretend that they are among the commanders on ground. These individual criminals have been paid by the Nigerian government to destroy what we're doing. But you know what? Their days are numbered. Yes. Do not be moved. Do not be shaken, because we got the formula to destroy them, and that is what we will continue. Exactly. Thank you so much.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.